This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Around the far turn, Arrowgate and American Freedom will turn for home. The stablemates are 1-2 here in the Travers. Gunrunner is third, Connect is fourth. Gift Box is next. Exaggerator is coming wide as they come to the top of the stretch. It is Arrowgate and Mike Smith. Oh, they've opened up a 6-length lead here with 1 furlong to run. They've left the field reeling behind. American Freedom and Gunrunner are fired behind Arrowgate. What a commanding performance. He won the Travers by 12.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Down the Stretch. I'm Mark Asano. On today's Big Travers Day show, 4 very special guests, including a pair of Hall of Famers, beginning in just a moment with Mr. Mike Smith. He will be followed by Mr. Kieran McLaughlin, and we will talk Fayek in the Travers and Takaful in the Allen Jerkins. Mr. Ian Wilkes will join us as McCracken looks for his breakthrough victory in this afternoon's Travers. And finally, Mr. Jerry Hollendorfer, and we'll get the trainer's perspective on Songbird as she approaches this afternoon's personal ensign. So all of that and much, much more if you stay with us for this, our August 26th edition of the program, which is being sponsored by Pinnell's Restaurant, celebrating 95 years in business, 284 Jefferson Street in Saratoga, and by Jacob and Anthony's American Grill at 38 High Rock Avenue in downtown Saratoga. Good morning once again. Happy Travers Day on a cool and crisp Saratoga Saturday. You watched Arrowgate capture last year's Travers in the Open. 3 more Travers of the past going to the internal breaks. One in particular, which our first guest is going to enjoy very, very much. And our first guest is in town to ride a formidable foursome this afternoon. Songbird, West Coast, Dre Fong, and American Anthem. And he also happens to be the rider of Arrowgate. We are very pleased to welcome back to Down the Stretch, Mr. Mike Smith. Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Always good to see you. Welcome back to Saratoga.
Thank you.
You enjoy coming back, don't you?
Always, always.
Particularly to ride these outstanding horses.
Yeah, when you're blessed to ride these kind, you're pretty happy to fly anywhere, actually.
Well, let's begin with Arrowgate. Following that incredible victory in the Dubai World Cup, he's lost his last 2 starts, which a couple of months ago, that was incomprehensible. What's going on with Arrowgate?
I wish I knew. If I knew 100%, I'd be able to fix it, you know, but it's nothing soundness-wise. I mean, he feels great underneath me as far as soundness-wise. You know, the track's a bit deeper this year, you know, with the new racetrack that we have out there, especially the first week. It was really, you know, much deeper. But as the meet's going on, it's getting better and it's getting tighter, you know, where you can find that happy medium, you know, that you'd like to have on every racetrack. His last race was certainly a whole lot better, although it wasn't his A race by no means. But in saying that, though, you know, taking away nothing away from the winner's a really good horse. I mean, this is a horse that's going to probably be, you know, if he's not second choice, he'll probably be third choice going into the Breeders' Cup Classic next year. And you know, he ran a whole lot better, but we just got to get him trying a little more. You know.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at a piece of the Pacific Classic, and as we pick it up, Arrowgate will be third on the outside. And Mike, as you approach the far turn, you're gonna start moving on him. You're gonna start asking him, but he's not giving you the response that he used to.
Yeah, he just isn't there for whatever reason. Again, you know, it's things you can work with. I'm sure Bob will take him back and figure it all out, and you'll see a different horse come Breeders' Cup.
Do you think he's struggling with the surface, or
Could be. It could be what it is. It could be, you know, he's just a bit flat from traveling so much. Could be a little bit of everything. You know, it's hard to really say. As long as he's healthy and he's sound, you know, that's the main thing. And I know Bob will figure out the rest. I do know that.
he did make up some ground in the stretch, so he's...
When he decided to, I mean, you know, he's right in here. If I could just get him to finish like he normally would, you know, we'd be on our way. But, you know, like I said, he just can't seem to push off it as well as he'd like. But, again, the race was certainly a whole lot better than, although he didn't win, you know, people don't realize how fast they actually ran. The winner ran, I think, 115 Bayer, and I think I ran a 114, which is pretty incredible in its own right. But for him, we all expect a whole lot more.
That's right. That's right. In the context of things, you've ridden so many outstanding horses during your career who have turned in outstanding performances. How special was the Dubai World Cup?
Oh, it was an incredible race. Geez, for him to, you know, get wiped out leaving there like he did, and, you know, shuffle back so far. The difference that day there was that you know, he was on the bridle and wanting to do it whenever I asked him. So we get him back to that spot again, and I think we'll be fine. But for him to run down a horse like Gunrunner that evening, after all that happened, was just it's something that, you know, people you would never thought of. You know, maybe if I'd have broke well late, sitting right off with him, but, you know, of course we were the favorites, so we were supposed to. But I didn't think we had any chance after that, to be honest with you.
All right, let's go. Not bad to go from Arrowgate to Songbird. That's a wonderful segue. From your perspective, how has Songbird changed from last year to now?
You know, she's changed she's just gotten a little bigger, a little stronger, you know, a little more smart, really, about running. You know, when she was early on, she was very aggressive, you know, early on, and she's just learned to relax. I wouldn't even think she'd mind if someone, you know, if they went fast enough, they could get in front of her, and she wouldn't seem to mind. Probably give her a target, be a better race for her. But she's still just so naturally quick. She's just so naturally talented. She's just a dream to, you know, I'm just very blessed to get the opportunity to ride a filly like this. She's just incredible.
We are so used to seeing brilliance from Songbird that in her 2 races this year, and we're about to take a look at a piece of the Delaware Handicap, and as we pick it up, she's in front. These would be considered more, particularly this one, more of a workmanlike effort than a brilliant effort. Is there something to that?
Second race back, going 1.25 miles on a deep racetrack. And most horses probably would have got beat, to be honest with you. You know, for her to go ahead and pull that off, that was a lot bigger test than what people just don't realize, I guess. No one takes into consideration that she's been off for a long time. She's only run 1 time, and, you know, you're coming back going 1.25 miles over a, you know, a deep track. The weather was, you know, a lot of rain, very humid, carrying a lot of weight. I mean, it's tough to do, but she pulled it off. She wasn't going to let no one buy her, but for some odd reason, it doesn't seem to be good enough.
Well, you know, Mike, as you know, special horses are held to a higher standard. And as I say, we expect such brilliance from her, and not to demean the filly she was running against, but, you know, we expect her to drown them. But
both fillies that she ran against, you know, people weren't too high on her first race back, and that filly come back and won by what?
32.5 lengths, I believe. Yeah.
Filly that she beat the other day come back and run a great second last week in another pretty, you know, really nice stake race. Again, when you know, I've ridden some really good horses over the Delaware racetrack. It's a home field advantage, big time. You know, I rode Royal Delta there one time where she drew off and won by 20. The last time I barely held on to win by a head.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then she come back here and ran in the personal inside and won by 15. So, you know, those are just races. As long as they get the job done, you know, the good ones just seem to find a way, even when things aren't, you know, going 100% your way. They just find a way to win.
So you have no concern at this point
No
Okay.
whatsoever.
All right.
She's run 2 Grade 1 and she's won them both. I mean, if I'm going to be concerned about that, then I'm a bit too spoiled.
All right. You've got West Coast for the Travers, and you've only ridden him once. It was here in the Easy Goer. As we pick it up, West Coast is number 7. He'll be 6th on the outside when the video comes up. Mike, was this as easy as it looked?
It actually was. This is a horse that's really coming around at the right time. Although none of his races have been really bad. I mean, he's never been worse than second. But early in his career, he'd hit the front and kind of get lost, and now he's kind of figured things out. And you know, even his last race after this race, he ran back in the Los Al Derby, and he was pretty impressive. That was going a mile and 1/8, and the best part of his race was the last 100 yards. So, gives you an idea that you would think that he'd handle a mile and a quarter. You know.
As I said, you've only ridden him once here. So from what you felt this day, what you saw in the Los Al Derby, where the rider kept him basically out in the middle of the racetrack that day just to keep him out of trouble, you're not terribly concerned about the stretch to 10 furlongs.
Well, it's always a concern when you haven't done it. But in saying that, I mean, at least he's gotten a mile and 1/8. You know, in a good fashion. He was hung out really, really wide, and the best part of the race was the last 100 yards of the race. So I think he should get it. I mean, he's doing really well right now. This horse is training sneaky good.
It appears that he doesn't want to be rushed early. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I mean, you know, horses seem to find they kind of fall into their style. You know, they all seem to break their maiden on the lead or, you know, close to it, and then as they start running, they learn to get into a rhythm. You know, and sometimes that starts to bring one off the pace a little farther back, or maybe even farther than that. But yeah, he seemed to learn to kind of relax and settle into a good rhythm, although he won't be too far back. But especially today, there's not much pace in the race today, so I wouldn't think he'd be too far back. But yeah, you just kind of let him get up underneath himself, and then he just starts taking you where you want to go.
So just a late developer. We're used to seeing, you know, Bob's horses develop early and get to the Derby.
Well, we say that, and you look at his form, and he's only been second by the head one time. I mean, he's got a great form, so I think he was developed early. He's just learning how to get. He's just getting better. He's just getting better at things. He's getting stronger. He's getting smarter. Like you said, he's learned to kind of, you know, relax himself just a little and get into a nice comfortable rhythm, and then he just starts taking you to where you want to go.
Well, you'll be riding 2 reigning champions later this afternoon. Songbird, of course, as well as Dreyfong, who's been to the post only once since last year's Breeders' Cup. It was the Bing Crosby on July 29th. We are about to take a look at the early stages of that race. We'll take a look at it a couple of times. For our audience, Dreyfong is number 2. Mike, tell us what happened in here.
Well, he made the gap. To make it pretty simple, but he was bumped just before he got to the gap. If you'll take a look, and I think he just thought he was supposed to go that way, to be honest with you, because he got right back onto the racetrack once I came off. But it's probably a good thing I'd come off, because whenever he ducked so quick, I pulled his head up, and he probably couldn't see the rail. So when I was able to come off, and of course he got his head back, he saw where he was at and got right back into the race. But it was too bad that he didn't get to run that day, because he left the gate awful well, and I think he was really going to run. He had a run on his mind leaving there. It wasn't like he was looking for the gap. He just got bumped and set him that way.
We're about to take a look at it here. He did continue to run around there, and fortunately did not get hurt. Mike, could Dreyfong get anything out of this effort? I mean,
I don't know. I wish we could have had a race in him. I mean, I'm very confident in him anyway. But going 7/8, 3/4, I'd be still pretty happy. You know, going 7/8, you know, you're going that extra 1/8 of a mile without a race under your belt. You know, we'll have to see how he does. In saying that, though, one of his best races, if not his best race, was on this racetrack.
Right.
So I kind of have that going for me, but yet not going for me would be not having a race in him, you know.
Will you ride him differently or a bit more conservatively because of what happened last time?
No. I just got to play it off of what's going on in the race. I know Bob has these horses ready. I'm not concerned about that. He does a tremendous job getting the horse ready off of a layoff. So, he's going to run. You just would like to have had a race in him, but in saying that, he might jump up and just run a race like he did here last year.
And it's really beneficial to have that outside post, isn't it? Watch things set up early inside of you.
With him, I mean, he's just so naturally quick. It might not have mattered as much, wherever he's at, but I mean, it's fine. He won from that actually same post last year. It was the outside post. I don't know the same number, but it's the outside post.
Well, you also have American Anthem for the Allen Jerkins, formerly the King's Bishop. You've won the last two on him, including the Woody Stevens here. Tell us about American Anthem.
Again, I'm like I said, it's very blessed to be coming in to ride these horses. I mean, what can I tell you? That they're all, they're all really, really talented horses, and they're all doing really well. I couldn't ask. You take a look at each and every one of them in the paddock, and you can actually see how well they're doing. I mean, they're beautiful horses, and again, I look for him to run a big race. I mean, this is a horse that I still believe can go around 2 turns, but he's running so good right now at this 7/8 distance that we might as well just keep him at it for a little bit.
Yeah, you rode him.
I certainly think he'd get a mile anyway.
You rode him at Oaklawn earlier this year in one of the 2-turn races, and
he just kind of tailed off on us just a little bit for a race or two, and then Bob backed up on him and got him back right, and man, he's been really right ever since. This was an impressive race right here.
Yeah, it really was. You still get pumped riding the big ones. You still love to come in and ride the big ones.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the stage of my career. What we're doing, love to get on some babies, some young horses, and then get the opportunity to ride horses like this is what it's all about. And just having probably a better time now at it than I was in the past. I've learned to appreciate these good horses a whole lot more, and just like I said, I can't tell you how blessed I am getting the opportunity to ride these kind of horses, and hopefully we'll make the most of it today and see what happens.
You like riding against the young guys and beating them quite often.
Well, if you ride the right horse, you can still beat them. Well,
you came in earlier in the meet and got the coaching club with Abel Tasman, and you're set up this afternoon for a nice afternoon.
Looking forward to it.
Well, we wish you the best, and we want to say thank you, Mike, by giving you this $100 gift card to Jacob and Anthony's American Grill.
Thank you.
It's at 38 High Rock Avenue, downtown Saratoga. They're open every day beginning at 11:30 for lunch, later on for dinner. Awesome. So take that on us and enjoy it. And we want to thank you.
Yes,
we know you have a busy schedule, and we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
Good luck. Safe trips this afternoon. Mike Smith, ladies and gentlemen, and we are up to our first break on this Travers edition of the program. When we return, Mr. Kieran McLaughlin will join us. As we go to this break, the year was 1994. The Travers was on August 20th. The early pace was going to be quick in here, but the winner was pretty special, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, the bull. Very, very special. Matter of fact, I visited the Hall of Fame and got a chance to go back and look at a lot of his races that he won. He was just a very special horse.
This was a wonderful call by Tom Durkin approaching the head of the stretch. There's cause for concern. And he was a wonderful racehorse who went on to win the Classic that year. But what did it feel like with a bull underneath you?
just like it sounded. Just like it sounded. He ran to his name, so to say. I mean, he was a tough horse.
Well, we're going to take a look at the 1994 Travers to the break. Back with Kieran McLaughlin right after these messages.
And they're off in the Travers. And Holy Bull breaks in stride, but here comes Comanche Trail. Hell-bent on the lead on the outside, and it is Comanche Trail who takes the lead, but here comes Holy Bull up from the inside, and Tabasco Cat's not far behind. Unaccounted For is running in fourth, and Concern is already 15 lengths from the lead by the time they reach the first turn. Comanche Trail on the outside and Holy Bull. A dazzling opening quarter here of 22 and 4/5 seconds. And it is Comanche Trail who will make Holy Bull work to stay up close to the lead. Tabasco Cat is stalking in third. He's about 3.5 lengths from the front runners. And then it's another 3 back to Unaccounted For, and still well behind is Stretch Running Concern. They're making their way into the back stretch, and it was a hard opening half mile here of 46 and 1, and the Bull's in front now. Holy Bull in front now by a half length. Comanche Trail, his work done now. He begins to fade a bit in second. Then it's a break of 5 lengths to Unaccounted For. Tabasco Cat has now dropped 7 lengths from the lead. Holy Bull opens up as they pass the half-mile pole. It is Holy Bull who runs an eye-opening 3/4 in 1:10 and 3, and he rounds the far turn with a 4-length lead. Unaccounted For has now moved into second. Tabasco Cat is still 7 lengths from the lead, and Concern begins to hit his best stride. He has 10 lengths to make up, and Mike Smith lets the Bull roll. He's in front by 5 as they come to the quarter pole, but there is cause for concern. Concern comes on second on the outside. Tabasco Cat is well behind in third. They're coming down to the final furlong. Mike Smith asking Holy Bull for everything he has. Concern is coming hard under Jerry Belly. It's still Holy Bull desperately trying to hold Concern at final thrust, but it is Holy Bull as game as a racehorse can be coming down to the wire. Holy Bull wins. What a hero. Concern came to him at the end, and it was 15 lengths back to a Belmont Stakes winner.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Nighttime thoroughbred racing is back at Capital OTB. Now through Labor Day, Capital OTB will be accepting wagers on nighttime thoroughbred racing from across the country, featuring evening racing from Delmar and Woodbine, and now it's even easier to be part of the action. Simply log on to CapitalOTBBet.com on all your digital devices, or use our newly designed mobile app. So even when the sun goes down, thoroughbred racing continues at CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Casano. My thanks to Mike Smith once again for having joined us, and Holy Bull for the late Jimmy Kroll. And Mike holds off future Breeders' Cup Classic winner Concern to capture the 1994 Travers. Our next guest has been enjoying an outstanding meet, and later today we'll send out a trio of stakes starters, including Fayek and the Travers. As always, we are pleased to welcome back to Down the Stretch Mr. Kieran McLaughlin. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on a very fine meet thus far. You know, your barn underwent some changes. I mean, some retirements. Is this what you expected, or is this kind of a pleasant surprise the way things are going?
A pleasant surprise because, you know, it's always tough up here and everything has to go right. So we've won 11 so far. We'd like to win a stake or two, but we've won our share.
And in addition to having a very fine meet, you and your lovely wife, Letty, were honored by the New York Racetrack Chaplaincy. That was a very nice honor. Talk to our audience about that.
It's a great cause, and the chaplaincy does a great job here on the backside in so many ways, but they just help everybody in every way, and it was a nice honor, and it was great to be there and be honored and raise money for the cause.
That's wonderful. All right, let's start with Fayek and the Travers. When the final leg of this year's Triple Crown was made official, Fayek was still a maiden. Now he's running against these horses in the Travers. Tell us about him.
Yes, we didn't receive him until October because he had some issues and needed some time. Once we got him, it took us a little while to get him through his gait issues. When we first took him to the starting gate and the starter stood up next to him, he really freaked out and really kicked the back of the gate and almost hurt himself. So we had to take a long time and start over with the schooling. And Neil worked with him at the barn, and his wife Trish worked with him every day, standing on a bucket and trying to break him with somebody above him, because that seemed to be the problem, is anybody above him. So it took some time, and he wears a Monty Roberts blanket to this day. But he's very classy, smart horse. It was just one little thing that we had to work on, but it delayed his start. And he ran twice in Florida, and then came up here to New York and won the allowance race here early in the meet. And he has a great pedigree, and we hope he will switch leads, because he didn't switch leads in his last race, or last two races.
Well, we're gonna watch that and talk about that in a moment. But when you say great pedigree, he happens to be a half brother to
Rachel Alexandra.
That's not too shabby.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay. That's okay.
Yes.
All right, we're about to watch the July 26th allowance race here. For our audience, Fayek is number 4. Karen, talk about this performance, if you would.
He breaks well, and he's there on the lead right now, just briefly. But Louis is riding him. He rode him very well. He just sat there and stalked, and it's just unusual for a horse to break on his left lead and stay on his left lead. So, you know, he sat there. He was confident the way he rode him, and we were confident that he had plenty of horse. But it's just unusual that a horse stays on his left lead. So after this race, when we worked him back, we asked Louis to come back and work him. We went to Oklahoma, and he worked him just to see if he felt anything different.
Right.
He thought he did. He said maybe he was over asking him to switch leads in the race. So being that he sat on him in the morning and he switched leads easily and comfortably, he thought maybe he was asking him too much in the afternoon. So we'll see if it helped at all. But he's laying third there nicely and responds well when asked. And he's improving all the time.
Kieran, at this time of the meet, that main track was deep.
Yes.
How difficult, how challenging is it on a young racehorse to go 9 furlongs around 2 turns without changing leads?
Yes, it should be almost impossible to win, but he won and was impressive in winning and beat 1 or 2 older horses in here. So he's still learning and improving, but we would certainly like him to switch leads.
Yeah. I remember Aladar, great horse, as having problems with lead changes. What causes horses to have problems changing leads?
Sometimes it's a soundness issue, you know, that they feel better on one lead
right.
or the other. He's always changed his leads just perfectly in the morning, so we don't feel like it's a soundness issue, and we're not sure what else it is, but we're trying to help him switch leads in this race.
You drew the extreme outside post today. Your thoughts about the post, and will that impact strategy?
Well, it will, yes, because we're 12, and it's a 3/16 run to the first turn. We have a little bit of time, but always dreaming looks like the main speed. And if we break well, maybe we can, you know, stalk in second, third, or fourth to save the ground without sending him and using him too hard, and get a position and stay out of trouble.
Realistically, what do you expect from Fayek this afternoon in the Travers? You know this is not an easy
situation. It's very tough. It's a very tough race. So we're hopeful that we can win, but it's we'll just go from there. But if we hit the board, that'd be great. But we want to try and win.
You know, there are a couple of similarities between Fayek and Arrogate, who did reasonably well in this race last year. Arrogate hadn't broken his maiden until June of his 3-year-old season, and the Travers was his stakes debut. It wouldn't be bad to replicate.
That would be great. That sounds
That'd
great.
That'd be okay.
Yes, that would be fabulous.
All right, Tackaful for the Alan Jerkins. 5 career starts. His 3 route races around 2 turns. He's been beaten a total of 72 lengths. His 2 sprints, he's 2 for 2, and they haven't come close to him. Is he trying to tell us something?
We hope. We hope. He won his first start impressively, and obviously you want to try and stretch him out. Being by Bernardini, he should stretch out, but he didn't stretch out well. He was third in the Remsen, but he also is tough to train, and we had some issues with training him. His mouth was cut a little bit, and then we had some foot issues. So luckily Shadwell was patient and let us just stop on him for a little while and bring him back in the sprint race. We tried to run him 2 weeks previously at Belmont, and he got away from the pony boy and ran off a mile and an eighth on the main track at Belmont and was scratched. Jose was on him and everything was okay, but we couldn't run him. So then we brought him up here, and he won impressively. Very fast, talented sprinter.
Well, we're about to take a look at that opening day allowance. For our audience, Tacaful is number 8 in here. Karen, as we watch the opening day allowance sprint, talk to us about it, and were you expecting anything like this?
It's hard to expect this performance because it was a special performance, but we did love him. And if you notice, Jose Ortiz stayed with us, and even money shot for Chad. He had been on, but he really liked us, and that said a lot to all of us. But he had trained very, very well, and we thought that he was going to run a big race, but this was a very big race. On all figures, it was a huge race, almost too good for coming back today. We hope he doesn't react from it.
Has he had enough time?
Yeah, I think so, but it's hard to repeat this kind of performance, but at least he did it on this track, which was slow until he ran that day, and he made it look a little quicker.
And we're about to watch, as he goes across the line and draws away, we're about to watch a gallop out which you don't see very often. It's like he didn't want to stop. Did you say to Jose, I want you to let him run past the wire? Or
No, it just happened. He just kept going, and that's why we thought that he would be able to go further. With his pedigree, he should go further, but we're happy if he can win 6 and 7 furlong races, because there's plenty of opportunities for sprinters.
Now, he's been training at Belmont. He hasn't been up here. So how's he trained since this race?
He's trained very well, and I didn't want to change the team. Joe Lee and his team, my assistant there at Belmont, has done a great job, so we wanted to keep it the same, and we're happy that he was there until yesterday. He came up.
He traveled well, everything's fine?
Yes, we're all set.
You're drawn inside today. Does that mean Jose's got to let him go? He's got to run on out of there?
He's kind of does his own thing, the horse, so it's hard for it'd be nice to be able to say, let's lay third or second. So there's speed outside of us.
Right.
Danny Gardner's horse is very fast, so we'll have to leave it up to Jose and see how we break.
All right. You've got Dickinson for the Ballston Spa. She beat Lady Eli 3 back when Lady Eli was coming off the layoff, but has she tailed off a little bit?
Well, she didn't run well last time. We're not quite sure why. On figures, it wasn't a terrible race, but we know she's better than that. So we hope that she hasn't tailed off. Today, there's not much pace in the race.
Right.
We might be forced to try and go to the lead, and hopefully she breaks well and we're forwardly placed.
And finally, Stick Stately Dude, who won last year's Discovery, makes his first start since then in an allowance sprint today. He's done his training at Churchill. How's he doing?
He's doing very well. Greg Birchall has been training him there, and we work together when we come here. He flew in last week, and we talk about it all the time, and he had a tendon issue, and Churchill is not as deep as the tracks in New York, so we thought it was best to train him there right up until this race, and he looks fabulous and is training well. We know he wants further, but this is a good starting point, and he drew well 9 and 9, so we think he will run very well.
All right, well, again, congratulations on a wonderful meet thus far. Could get a whole lot better this afternoon, and we wish you all the best. And we want to say thank you for joining us by giving you this $100 gift card to Jacob and Anthony's American Grill It's at 38 High Rock Avenue, downtown. They're open 7 days a week, beginning at 11:30 for lunch, later on for dinner. So take that and enjoy a little dinner or lunch on us.
Thank you very much. Nice place.
Always great to see you.
Thank you very much.
Karen McLaughlin, ladies and gentlemen, we are up to our next break. When we return, Mr. Ian Wilkes will join us. As we go to this break, I've always felt that this was one of the most overlooked runnings of the Travers. The year was 1988, and 49er in Seeking the Gold 4 weeks earlier had fought tooth and nail with 49er beating Seeking the Gold in the Haskell by a lip. Well, they came back 4 weeks later for the Travers, and Brian's Time joined them, who happened to be the favorite. So we'll take a look at the 1988 Travers to the break. Back with Ian Wilkes right after these messages.
They're Seeking the Gold on the rail, going for the lead on the outside is 49er right alongside, and 49er gets a narrow lead. It's Seeking the Gold on the rail, back into second, about 3 to King Post, then Dynaformer about 2 to Brian's Time and Evening Chris. They race in 3 distinct groups into the clubhouse turn. It's 49er on the outside, Seeking the Gold on the inside, and Seeking the Gold now gets the lead by a 49er has dropped into second by 3, King Post third, then Dynaformer about 3 to Evening Chris, and Brian's Time is 6th. The quarter and 24 and 1, and they approach the backstretch. Now Dynaformer moves on the outside of 49er and Seeking the Gold, and those 3 are across the track. They have a length and a half on King Post, 4th by 3, then Evening Chris and Brian's Time down the backstretch. And now it's 49er getting the lead again by a Dynaformer on the outside is second by about a length, and King Post is moving into third. Seeking the Gold on the rail has dropped into 4th. The half and 48 and 3. They continue down the backstretch. 49er leads by a neck. Dynaformer on the outside, second by a length. Farther out is King Post, and third by a half. Seeking the Gold remains in 4th on the rail by 2. Then Evening Chris and Brian's Time as they round the far turn. 3 quarters, 13 and 1. 49er leads by a neck. Dynaformer on the outside, second by 2. Brian's Time has moved up on the inside of Evening Chris. Seeking the Gold remains on the rail. They're at the top of the stretch. The mile 37 and 4. 49er has the lead on the outside. Here comes Brian's Time farther out. Evening Chris on the rail is Seeking the Gold. They're at the 8th pole. 49er leads clearly by 2. Seeking the Gold moves into second on the outside. Brian's Time Seeking the Gold gaining ground on the outside of 49er. Those 3 past the 16th pole. Hits Seeking the Gold and 49er to the wire. Seeking the Gold and 49er on the inside.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Asano. My thanks to Karen McLaughlin once again for having joined us, and 49er. For the late Woody Stevens, his first ever Travers victory. Chris McCarron aboard again by a nose over Seeking the Gold with Brian's Time third. Our next guest has a colt who I've liked very much since last year, but he's still looking for that breakthrough Grade 1 win, which hopefully will come later on in the Travers. The colt is McCracken, his trainer, Mr. Ian Wilkes. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Welcome. Are you surprised that he hasn't had that breakthrough win yet?
Yeah, and I really thought it was going to come last start, in the Haskell. Mm-hmm.
Has it been a little bit disappointing, a little challenging with him?
No, you can't be disappointed. you can't get down. This is part of the game. You know, you have little hiccups, little things that go wrong. You can't get down on it.
Ian, how's he changed? We spoke to you leading up to the Kentucky Derby, and you had some challenges. You lost some training time. How's McCracken changed physically and mentally through these months?
You know, one thing mentally, he hasn't changed at all. He's so confident. He's a cocky horse. He's very confident in what he's doing. He's got a lot of energy, but physically, I think he's got a little stronger. I think he's matured a little.
Well, we're about to take a look at his last start. This is the Haskell. For our audience, McCracken is number 5. A tough beat. Talk about the effort, Ian.
Oh, it's a great effort. You know, we come off a win in the Mat win, you know, and we beat nothing against the horses there that we beat. You know, That wasn't like this field here. And for this horse to run as good, this was the race we were looking for. And you always got in your back of your mind, you know, we've been beating some horses, we've been beating them, but then we haven't. This is, other than the Derby, this is a stellar field.
Yep.
You know, everyone was talking about how tough this race was, how strong it was, and to run like this, his turn of foot, he just proved what a turn of foot he has, you know, and that's the key. We just got beat. You know, I don't like making excuses. We got beat. You know, I could analyze this race 50 different ways, and I can tell you how we could have won it. But the fact is, we got beat.
When we had Joe Sharp in here a few weeks ago and we spoke to him about the Haskell, he mentioned a move down the backstretch here where Robbie Alvarado, aboard eventual winner Gervin, came up to McCracken, and he thought that might have caused your rider, Brian Hernandez, to move a little bit early.
Yeah, definitely. We weren't looking to move then, but Robbie ran up on the inside of us just before this part of the race and put us into a drive, and our horse ran a strong half mile from the half mile home. It really got us running too much, because look, we went by Gervin, opened up on him, and even, you know, little things like, even Brian said he thought that Irish War Cry would take him a little further down the lane, and he didn't. We got by him too quick, you know, too easy. And then we drifted into the inside, where the inside wasn't good that day, you know, a little dry. But, you know, these are all little things, you know, and you don't want to take anything away from Gervin, because he beat us, you know.
Yes.
So I need to come back and I need to change the result today, and that's the most important thing. And see, I thought they were going to run by him, my horse, and then when they come to him, he engaged him again. So I was very pleased with his effort, and galloping out, if you get to see it, he galloped out really good. You know, him and Gervin galloped out strong.
Okay, so we know McCracken's got a very quick turn of foot. But like most horses, it's sustainable, that big run, for a limited period of time. So you're going 1.25 miles today. Is it critical that Brian Hernandez rides with patience and waits to push the button?
Oh, definitely. You know, Brian, that's why I kept, you know, there's no question. I actually really surprised the criticism Brian's got over that last ride on the Haskell, which really surprised me, because I thought he rode the horse tremendous. He was a little forced to move a little early. He knew, but what do? Sit, you know, you're in that position, and he was a little forced to move early. And if Robbie never run up the inside, we don't move then. We're going to wait.
Okay.
You know? So it was... Every race is different, you know, and you can plan and analyze it before, but when you're out there riding, things happen. You have to make a split-second decision. So I thought he rode, you know, if the difference was we got beat a nose. We win a nose, everyone would say, what a great ride.
Right. And obviously he's got to ride it the way the race comes up. But ideally, would you like him to be as patient as possible and wait to push the button?
Yeah, I think you really got to ride this horse on the dirt like a turf horse. That's more like what he is, you know, and I think that's going to be the key.
Since the Haskell, you've worked McCracken 3 times. In a moment, we're going to talk more specifically about a couple of the works. But overall, how pleased are you with the way he came out of the Haskell and working toward the Travers?
Oh, very happy. I could have ran him back in a week. That's how good he was doing. You know, he come out of it just thriving. He hasn't left a note. The horse has just done tremendous.
You've been working him in Oklahoma. On August 16th, his second work back. 3 quarters in 1:16 and 1 breezing. Obviously, no speed in that workout. What were you looking for in that 1:16 and 1 work?
I'm going. The horse has got speed. He's got everything there. He's got the turn of foot. He's got speed. I need just an endurance work, a maintenance work. We ran a mile and 8 in the Haskell, ran a solid race. The horse is fit. He come back, and I just was looking for the right kind of work. Get off steady, let him finish down the lane, let him gallop out strong. He galloped out. I think he galloped out there a mile in that work, and which is good. I just probably went back to Alan Jerkins.
That's not bad to go back to.
Yeah, you know, I just didn't need a fast work. I didn't need to hang him on the rail, and
right.
I didn't need a 59. It's just what I felt was right for the horse.
And then this past Tuesday, you came back with him half mile in 51 and 1. Now, it was the slowest work of the entire morning at 4 furlongs. Did you get what you wanted to out of that work?
Yeah, I did. I got everything I wanted. I wanted a very easy work. I wanted him wanting more off of this work. And he's come bouncing out of it, because normally I give him a jog, and then I walk him, and then I'll go back to the track.
Right.
But this time he come out of a bouncing, so I jogged him the next day, and then I took him back to the track the following day. So he's right where I want him to be. I got no excuses. He wasn't blowing. The horse come out of them works. He's fit. He's happy and healthy.
Can he get a mile and a quarter against Top Flight Company this afternoon?
I think he can. I don't think there's a doubt. I think he can.
All right. Sounds good. You got him where you want him?
Yeah.
Well, we wish you all the best this afternoon. Clean trip, safe trip in the Travers. As always, we appreciate you stopping over and spending some time with us. And we want to give you this $100 gift card to Jacob and Anthony's American Grill. It's at 38 High Rock Avenue in downtown Saratoga. They're open every day beginning at 11:30 for lunch, later on for dinner. So take that and enjoy some good food on us. And again, good luck this afternoon with McCracken.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Ian Wilkes, ladies and gentlemen, and we are up to our final break. When we return, Mr. Jerry Hollendorfer will join us. As we go to this break, the Travers from 35 years ago. Derby winner Gato del Sol. Preakness winner Aloma's Ruler. Belmont hero Conquistador Cielo, who was the odds-on favorite in here. Just like today, the battle of the 3 classic winners in the Travers. So we'll take a look at the 1982 Travers to the break. Back with Jerry Hollendorfer right after these messages.
And they're off. On the far outside, as expected, Aloma's Ruler goes to the front. It's Conquistador Cielo moving up on the inside. They are going together past the stands, but Aloma's Ruler does have the lead by a half. Conquistador Cielo along the inside is right alongside. They will enter the clubhouse turn together. And right behind them, surprisingly, is Gato del Sol. Then it's Le Jolie in fourth, and Runaway Groom is fifth. The first quarter was run in a very fast 23 2/5 seconds. It's Aloma's Ruler on the outside, has the lead by about a half. Eddie Maple on Conquistador Cielo has a good hold. He's on the rail in second. He's letting Aloma's Ruler show the way. And Conquistador Cielo has about 4 lengths on Gato del Sol. Then it's Le Jolie and Runaway Groom. The long shot remains in fifth. The half
Still a very, very fast pace. It's 46-2. Loma's Ruler on the outside continues to lead. And Conquistador Cielo is only inches behind as they approach the far turn. About 4 back is now La Jolie gaining on the rail, moving into third. And Gato del Sol is back into fourth. Loma's Ruler on the outside. Conquistador Cielo on the rail. They are heads apart, 3/4, 10-3. Conquistador Cielo, Loma's Ruler, they remain together. They have 3 on La Jolie, but La Jolie is making up lots of ground. They're at the top of the stretch. The mile and 35-4. Loma's Ruler stays in front. Along the inside, Conquistador Cielo. And now Conquistador Cielo puts ahead in front. Loma's Ruler on the outside is second. And Runaway Groom from Canada moves up. Runaway Groom alongside the inner 2. Those 3 to the wire. Runaway Groom, Loma's Ruler, Conquistador Cielo, Runaway Groom in front.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano. My thanks to Ian Wilkes once again for having joined us, and Runaway Groom for John DeMario and Jeff Fell. Ran down a Loma's Ruler 35 years ago to upset the Travers. Now, Runaway Groom was owned by Albert Coppola, who lived in nearby Schenectady, graduated from Mount Pleasant High School, and at the time, that was the only horse he owned. Final guest this morning has brought the sensational Songbird back to the spa for this afternoon's personal ensign. We are very pleased to welcome back to Down the Stretch, Mr. Jerry Hollendorfer. Jerry, good to see you, as
Pleased
always.
to be here, too.
How you doing?
Fine.
Everything well with you?
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about your filly in a moment, but it 'tis well. Pretty game second in last Saturday's Alabama. You got to be pretty pleased.
We are, to get that graded 1 placing. We had beaten Billy's horse before, so I thought we had a chance to beat her again, but I think Billy's horse liked that 1.25 miles.
She certainly did, but your filly ran game.
She ran really, very well, and we're very pleased with her right now.
All right, let's talk Songbird. From your perspective, Jerry, how's she changed physically, mentally from 3 to 4?
Physically bigger and stronger, mentally about the same, but Mike tells me that she's not quite as eager to do things. She'll more wait for him to move when he wants her to, so he thought that was a lot better the way she was this year.
Well, we are about to take a look at her last race, and this is the 1.25 mile Delaware Handicap for our audience, Songbird number 5. Jerry, the very, very special ones are held to a higher standard. So when we watch Songbird win by only, I put that in quotes, only a length against a somewhat suspect field, we start to question, is Songbird the same Songbird? What'd you think of this effort?
Well, I thought it was a really good effort because we were going 1.25 miles after only 1 race and a 7-month layoff. So I'm not one for making excuses, but I thought she handled herself pretty well. And that was a very deep and tiring racetrack. We gave away a lot of weight. And, she still came through. So far, she's always done everything we've asked her to do.
Is it fair to say that having come off only 1 previous race in the last 8 months, that she wasn't perfectly fit for this?
Well, I think she's going to come into the race today in better shape than she was when I ran her over there.
I asked Mike this earlier. I'll ask you the same question, even though I know the answer. Are you concerned at all about the way she's run and won her 2 races this year?
No, I'm not. You know, I don't know what Mike said, but I'm not concerned about it. And, you know, her first race at Belmont, that was a thing of beauty because she actually got passed and then came back and won. So we were very pleased about that. And then that filly of Chad's came back and won by a very impressive margin. So, you know, that is the facts.
So how'd she come out of the Delaware handicap? How's she been training?
Very good. And, you know, I didn't have to be quite so hard on her for this race as I did for the 1.25 mile race, but she's been training fabulously, and most of her works are breezing.
Accurate to say she'll be substantially fitter for the personal ensign this afternoon?
My opinion is yes.
Well, your opinion is as good as we're going to get.
Well, what did Mike say?
Mike said that when I asked him if he had any concerns, he said absolutely not. The training, obviously, he leaves up to you. That was a big win for Mr. Porter, wasn't it?
It was, you know, and you know, I think he wanted to run in that race and win it for many years. And kind of how I got acquainted with him is when I ran Blind Luck in Delaware. You know, we beat him a nose there. Yeah. And then, you know, he came back and beat us with Have to Grace. And so kind of a nice rivalry. And then Mr. Porter decided to try the West Coast a little bit and sent me some horses. So, and Songbird was one of them. So we're grateful.
Yes, absolutely. How's he feeling? Is he going to be able to be here this afternoon?
He will be here this afternoon, and he sounds great to be on the phone. And the last time I saw him, I thought he was doing well. And he says he's doing well, so good. I think he is.
Good, good. We wish him the best. I know you hate to look past the race at hand, but it's my job to ask you this. We've got the Breeders' Cup coming up. Will she likely race again between now and then?
You know, I want to get past today, so, you know, that's what I'm focused on right now. If we could get past today and do very well, then we might look at the Zenyatta at Santa Anita, which I don't believe there's a specific date for that yet, but it'll fit in time-wise, and then the Breeders' Cup. So if we get past this race and that one, then we could go to the Breeders' Cup. And we'd like to do that.
And the distaff will be her goal?
It will.
Jerry, the deeper, I spoke to Mike about this briefly. The Del Mar main track has been deeper and slower this year than in past years. That any concern for you?
It's not deeper and slower than Delaware. And she handled that track fine. So I think if it's deeper and slower, then I think she'll do well. And all of her breezes coming into here have been down there, and she did fine.
Good. She shipped well. She acclimated well.
Oh, yeah, she shipped
likes
well.
It here.
Surprisingly, you know, we didn't drop any weight shipping 3 times. So I'm very happy about that. But, you know, we just as soon try to get this race out of the way and then stay home. If we can do that, that would be more advantageous for us.
Before we let you go, we need an update on your, I think, somewhat forgotten 3-year-old filly, Unique Bella. What's going on with her?
Well, I breezed her first time last week, and I just Dan just called me. I had her scheduled to breeze today. He got her in. He's just a shade under 35 and 34.78. So that was her second 3/8, and she galloped out very well. So, you know, if she comes out of these works well, it looks like she's going to come around pretty fast. So, you know, if we could get a race in her October, then we might start thinking about more important things. But we need to, if we're ever going to get into the Breeders' Cup this year, we would have to get a race in her in October.
But there still is a a reasonable chance?
This is very optimistic thinking, and usually I'm more conservative.
I love this.
You know, I'm trying to be very optimistic here.
Okay, so if we're going to be very optimistic, if you can get her a race in October, would the filly and mare sprint be the race you would look at?
That would be what we would be looking at. I don't think we could be prepared for anything longer than that.
Oh, this is exciting. Because she has gone to the back burner in a lot of people's minds. She's an outstanding filly.
Oh, no, she's outstanding, and Mike loves her also, and hopefully we'll get him to ride her, so... you know,
I don't think he's going to. I don't think he'll mind. I just have that feeling. I love it when you're optimistic. We absolutely love it. It's always good to see you.
All right, thank you.
And we want to say thank you by giving you this $100 gift card to Jacob and Anthony's American Grill. It's at 38 High Rock Avenue, right in downtown Saratoga. They're open every day, beginning at 11:30 for lunch and later on for dinner. It's a wonderful place.
I've been there, and it is a wonderful place.
And it's a terrific place for a celebration of sorts. So
okay, we'll see.
We wish you all the best. Thank you for stopping by again.
Thanks.
We always enjoy seeing you.
Thank you.
All the best this afternoon. Before we leave you this morning, let's take a look at this afternoon's schedule here at the Spa, which begins in about an hour and 35 minutes with first post at 11:35. Then Mr. Hollendorfer and his magnificent filly will go in race number 6, the Personal Ensign, at about 2:23. She'll face off against Dallas Stewart's wonderful filly, Forever Unbridled. The Ballerina comes next. Chad Brown has a couple in there with Paula Silver Lining and Karina Mia against By the Moon. The Alan Jerkins, race number 8. This is a good one. Practical Joke, Cold Front, American Anthem, Tackaful, The Forgo in the 9th, Dre Fong, and Mind Your Biscuits. The Sword Dancer in race number 10, then the Travers, the 11th, Field of 12 at about 5:44, and the Ballston Spa featuring Lady Eli. When we had Chad Brown on last week's show, he hinted that she was doing so well, he might not be able to keep her on the ground until October, so she's running against stablemates Antono and Roca Rojo. And the finale this afternoon at 6:54. There's a look at Travers Day at Saratoga. Time to thank all the folks who helped get this week's show on the air. Back in the control room in Albany, Pat Peretta directed. Thank you to Dan Hayes here at Saratoga. Our associate producer, Julie Hoxie, Brian Dorenzo, and Mick Richards. Thanks so much to our guests, Hall of Famers Jerry Hollendorfer and Mike Smith, Karen McLaughlin and Ian Wilkes, and thanks to our sponsors, Pinnell's Restaurant, celebrating 95 years in business. They must be doing an awful lot right at 284 Jefferson Street, right around the corner from our spa studio, and by Jacob and Anthony's American Grill, 38 High Rock Avenue in downtown Saratoga. Next week, Woodward Day, our final show from Saratoga, back to our regular time at 10 o'clock. As always, thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch. Enjoy a gorgeous Travers Day and all of this wonderful stakes racing. Have a terrific weekend, a wonderful upcoming week. And from all of us here at Down the Stretch, we'll see you next week.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.